Dennis, man, I'm super excited that you're here on the podcast.
Me too. It's exciting.
Yeah, so thank you for coming. Before we jump into anything about the Jack Herrera bus, we got to start with the legend himself, Jack Herrera.
Yes, it's quite a story for sure.
Listen, I know that there's a lot of stuff, and the only reason I'm going to bring up this date is because it was a hell of a time to be alive. But he was born in 1939, died in 2010.
Yes, it's true.
Pretty nice lifespan, but there's contradictions if he was from Brooklyn or New Brunswick, New Jersey. I don't know. I've seen a lot of stuff, heard a lot of stuff, read a lot of stuff. I'm thinking he was from Brooklyn, but where do you think he's from?
You know, I'm confused myself as to where he's from. Yeah, he was all over the place. I'll tell you that. But where he's actually born, I don't know. But he spent a ton of time in Oregon and in Venice Beach.
Okay,
in fact, I remember. I think, because I just got into this whole program, but I think I remember him as a kid preaching on Venice Beach. And as I watched some of the documentaries, I'm like, I could have been right there. But I wasn't into weed at that point.
So, walked there as a little toddler.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nah, the only reason I asked too, because if he's from around New York, and I know he was such an activist for obviously cannabis, right? Again, a legend in the cannabis space, but Woodstock.
Yes.
I know this guy was definitely all over Woodstock.
Well, he was there, but he was everywhere. There's legendary stories, and as we're driving around the bus, we're hearing stories of what he would do and things like that. And one of his big ones is going with these world-class bands, and he'd just come out on stage and just throw joints to the crowd when it was completely illegal. And he would tell everybody he was going to do it. And sure enough, he'd throw the weed out. I mean, we're talking hundreds of joints in the crowd at these rock concerts and various things. And he'd get arrested on stage. And they'd literally arrest him. Police would come, arrest him on stage, take him off. And the artists in the day would say, Jack's, in jail again, and we have to all bail him out. So on your way out, drop some money in the till, and we'll bail him out. And sure enough, the next day, he did it again and got arrested again. Yeah,
probably hundreds of times.
Hundreds. Well, it's hard to tell what you consider arrested, but he was handcuffed probably 200-300 times.
Oh, I'm sure.
How many times he was actually arrested is probably in the hundreds. But that kind of, and that was at a time when you go to jail for that stuff, and you go for a long time. In fact, people are still in jail for it, right? And it's just a plant. And so the fact that he was able to get up there when in a time when it was really bad and preach the idea that it's just a plant. Why is a plant illegal? It's not like heroin or any of these other stuff that's manufactured.
True.
Why is a plant illegal? And so he became, kind of the legend that he is.
Well, being able to do a lot of that stuff back then or whatever obviously takes a lot of bravery and courage and just saying at some points, fuck it, right? I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. But Woodstock era, I wish I'm a little bit younger. I've read a lot of stuff, looked at a lot of magazines. It just looked like a crazy time. Have you ever known anybody that was around that time?
Well, I'm not that old,
I know, that's what I'm saying. If you know anybody, I can't call anybody old.
I can only imagine, right, what it was like back then. And it was an important time in our country's history and everything else. So, weed was part and parcel to that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Jack Herrera, shaped obviously the weed industry and stuff. But I know he wrote a book, and a lot of people used to, what I've heard anyway, used to call him the Emperor of Hemp.
Yes.
Have you ever heard this?
Yeah, that's the book right here. Right? That's The Emperor Wears No Clothes, which, if you know that story, right? It's
I do not.
Well, the story is, right, these would tell the emperor how great these clothes look. And he would just take other people's opinion on that, and even though he had no clothes on. But he was so into the group think at the time in his little cabinet there, and they say, you look beautiful, and he would walk out naked. This is a story. It's not true, right?
Oh,
but
it's a story. Like, dude, this guy's sick.
No, it's a story. And so he would come out to his people, stock raking naked, thinking he had all the gowns on, he was beautiful. And everybody saw him naked, the prince, right? And they decided they're going to tell him how great his clothes look because that's what everybody else is doing. So the point of the book is, we're just following the leader because we're not ready to ask the questions, or everybody's afraid to step up and say, king or emperor, whatever you were, you're not wearing any clothes. You know that. So you look foolish. So that's the idea. Government looked foolish because they're putting all these penalties and all these laws and all this stuff on something that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And everybody's afraid to step up and fight for it. So that was his platform. So he had two big platforms. One was that it's a plant, you shouldn't make it illegal. But the big one is the entire industry, and even today, everybody I talk to that's in this industry, everybody has this stigma that there's some criminal, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
And still today, right? And
even in sports, it's worse.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
right? If you coach a little league or something like that, and somebody asks you, what do you do for a living? Even the people that are doing it, that are big in it, that are advocates of it, when that subject comes up, what do you do? There's still this stigma that weed's illegal or marijuana is illegal. And, what he did, and part of this book, was talk about why hemp primarily, but marijuana also, is this amazing crop, right? That is only became illegal because there's other influences that are making it illegal, right? So the cotton, people that were involved in cotton gin, they made hemp illegal, right? But they phased hemp out. They didn't make hemp illegal. Hemp's not illegal, but they phased out and said you don't want to use it. You want to use cotton. But back in the day, the Constitution was written on hemp paper. The Bill of Rights were on the bill on hemp paper. Everything was on hemp paper, and because it was cheaper to make, not enough profit, cotton came in, and that replaced hemp. Same thing's happening in pharmaceuticals and all this kind of stuff, which made it illegal in the first place, even though it had all these benefits. And that's the whole emperor wears no clothes. So in this book, and over 600,000 copies have sold, but in this book are copies of articles of the time. It used to be one of the 13 essential elements of the government, right? What do you call it? Herbal, one of the most important herbs that America has, and they took that off the list when it became illegal. So, the stories go on and on and on. So it's a great fight to get into because he put his life and soul into it. So that's kind of why we're doing it.
Yeah, he was also, I believe, a director in weed prohibition.
Yes,
something like that. I think
he also ran for president twice.
Did he really?
Yeah, and
I didn't know that either.
he was on the ballot. So he got a lot of votes. Obviously he's not president, but that was his platform.
Maybe close.
Yeah. So he's the legend of this whole industry. He's our godfather, right? So that was his belief, and he wanted everybody to succeed in this industry.
Yeah.
So he really is the kind of the leader.
The strain in general runs roots, right? So I don't know how far back Jack Herrera goes, the actual strain, but I know he's one of the guys who perfected, or the guy who perfected that specific strain, Jack Herrera strain, right? So
go ahead.
No, you go.
No. It was a strain that came to him. It was a seed that came to him, and then he started growing it, and then he did his own little pheno hunt on it and everything else, and that's what came up with the famous sativa strain, which was named with his name on it, and that's what we know today as the Jack Herrera premium.
And then
sativa.
Yeah, I know it's a sativa hybrid, correct?
There's a sativa, and then there's also some hybrids associated with it, and that's where we get to our master, which is indica, and some of the other strains that we have.
So in the realm of, I wanted to ask this when I first seen the bust too, because I'm from New York, but I came over here to California. I didn't really hear about the bust until I think I was maybe the first year I moved here. I've been here for 5 or 6 years now. But first time I ever been in the bus was at the traditional Halloween event.
Yeah, okay.
Which was crazy, by the way. That's actually the first time I met you, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very loud. I think Don Tolliver was in there, and
we've had we've had everybody in there. Yeah. Everybody comes up and hangs out in various weed events.
Yeah. It's an iconic bus and stuff like that. But going back to when you kind of founded the bus company, Jack Herrera Bus Company, I always wanted to ask, how did you get Jack Herrera? How were you able to use that name?
Well, we work with the family and have the actual name. It's not just the bus company.
Oh.
We have the strain, the trademarks, all that on everything Jack Herrera.
Okay.
So
I was wondering how the bus got the right.
No. We have the family has a big chunk of the company, and others have big chunks of the company too, and so it was all about taking it out there and kind of riding on his old story, but then kind of modernize it for the for the younger generation as well that
Yeah.
don't know who Jack was.
Yeah.
You know, there if he passed in 2010, so
Yeah.
there's a whole generation of people that don't know who Jack was, and it's kind of funny because if you look at the old, all the documentaries are on the bus. You can watch them all, and you can get to them all linked to all of them, but the kids today are taking this weed thing for granted. They have no clue on the pain that people have gone through
Oh,
and the
100%.
people that are still in jail from it. And they're just running around like it's no big deal. And it's like, no, we got to take some time to go back and say, this is not always like this.
Yeah.
And so that's also part of why the buses are being deployed.
I mean, even back in the day for myself, like, I was 17, 18, starting to smoke and have fun with my friends and stuff. I was getting arrested for like a nickel bag.
Yes.
which is crazy to me. We're like, stuffing it in our shoes and stuff.
Yeah,
Cops, telling you to take your shoes off and ripping the car apart. Literally, you get in so much trouble for literally a nickel bag.
That's right. And he also had a bunch of inventions too that people don't know about, but from the can that had the bottom part that was fake, and you could have all your stash in the bottom of a Coke
Yep.
can, and all kinds of different things he had to get it past the authorities.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of those little gadgets are pretty sweet now. Not that you really need them so much here, but back in the day, for what they have out now, would have been a lot more useful for me.
Yeah.
I was hiding it in like the airbox of my car and like,
Yeah, exactly.
hiding it everywhere. But yeah, so how long ago did you guys start the bus company?
Well, the bus we had the bus before we acquired the Jack Hare products, and the bus is a whole different purpose for that bus. And now we're just opening up and building more and more of them to just roll them around the country.
And how many do you guys have now? Do you guys just stay in California for now as well?
Right now we have 2 in California, but we're building 6 more
Wow.
to start going across. And we've got maybe, depending how it rolls out, but we can do as many as 40 around the country.
I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Like, I got educated a lot today, which I think is amazing. Hopefully the viewers got educated as well. If you don't know anything about Jack Herrera, make sure you guys watch this podcast. Make sure you get this book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And we always like to ask one question at the end of every episode. If you were to do anything else outside of the cannabis industry for a job and you didn't get paid, what would you love to do?
If I didn't get paid, I do a lot of things I don't get paid for.
Hey, everybody does, especially in this industry.
Yes. So, I don't know. I enjoy the do the sailboat stuff and flying airplanes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things I would do. No, not be paid for.
Do you have a pilot's license?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, how long? When did you get that? You can get a pilot like 2017.
Yeah, you can use less than that. Use
14, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I think it's 12,
12.
but I don't know exactly. Yeah, it's fun.
Wow. What kind of license do you have? 'Cause I know they have like ones that's just the propeller one and then jet engine.
Yeah, they have the private, and then you have a instrument, right? And then you can have your twin engine, and then you kind of go, and you can have your. But then you can have all kinds of. You have to have endorsements for each plane you fly. So each plane has a different endorsement. So it's a little bit. But today, flying a plane is like there's nothing to it. It wasn't back when I started. You had the VORs. Yeah. But now you just hit a couple of buttons and it takes you.
Jarvis flying.
Yeah. And soon it would be easier for us to come up with a autopilot, a pilotless plane that is a car, but that's coming.
I'm sure it'll be here before you know it. Yeah. Do you have a plane? Do you just rent like at a hangar somewhere?
No, I sold it in COVID, which was a mistake because I could have made a lot more money after COVID or during COVID. I sold it before COVID. But we'll get into it.
And well, if he does, you guys might catch me on a plane pretty soon. Hopefully.
Yes. Cool.
Dennis, listen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And this is great. Again, I learned a lot of stuff. So we can go shoot. What do you guys want to shoot around the bus?
Great.